Hello everyone, I'm Shalem and I hope you are doing well today. Before we deep dive into our session, I want to ask you a simple question. Have you ever thought or said something and regretted immediately right after that? Maybe it must have hurt somebody, or maybe it didn't come out the way you intended. Well, we all have been there. Today, we are going to talk about a simple yet a powerful tool that can help us communicate better. Whether you are a person in children's ministry, whether you are a worker, or whether you are a youth leader, this would help you to communicate and build better relations. This small tool is called as Think. That is THINK. This tool will help us pause and reflect before we speak so that our words could bring encouragement and not harm. In our ministries, we all interact with different people. It could be kids, it could be teens, it could be adults, or even elders. No matter who we are speaking to, our words matter. They can build or break relationships. The Bible reminds us in Colossians chapter 4, verses 6, that says, our speech should always be gracious and seasoned with salt. This, in a way, implies that our words they should be full of love. Our words should be full of compassion. Our words should be full of humility, empathy, respect, and care. However, to be honest, this is easier said than to be done. It helps us to ask 5 questions before we speak. First, the T stands for truth. So we need to ask ourselves, is it true before we speak? H, it stands for helpful. Whatever we speak, is it helpful for the person to hear? Is it helpful for any other person to know what are we speaking is helpful in any way? I, it stands for I. That means, am I the right person to speak? Is it my position to speak? Is it my place to speak at the time? N, that stands for necessity. Is it really necessary to speak about the particular issue or a particular topic or in a particular way? Kind, K, K stands for kind. That's, are my words kind enough? Is my correction kind enough? Is my way of speaking kind enough? Whatever I am communicating. By using Think, the tool Think, THINK, we can ensure our words align with wisdom and kindness. Over the next few minutes, we'll explore how to apply Think in our real life situations. I believe you're ready to learn. Let's get started. As you read the words, think before you speak. This is something we have heard all our lives, either by our parents, for sure, by some of our elders, even by our peers, our colleagues, and different people. There are different times when people come across and say, think before you speak. It's not only we hear, at the same time, we are also the ones who keep on saying, think before you speak. Now, why do we say think before you speak? Whenever things happen in a way which we do not expect the words to be we are spoken in a certain way, we would say, think before you speak. So obviously things are not going the way we expect, and hence either we end up saying think before you speak, or or the person on the other side would say think before you speak. As human beings, we are created in God's image, and all of us are designed to interact and to have fellowship with each other. When I say we are designed to interact and have fellowship with each other, we are designed in a way where we are to build relationships, we are to build friendships, we are to have fellowship, and for that we have to communicate. When Jesus created the earth and the humans, Adam and Eve, he came over and had fellowship with them every day. He intended to have good relationship with people. And I believe he expects us to do the same. He wants us to have good relationship with people. He wants us to interact with people, have fellowship with people. While we look at Jesus' life on the earth, we say he interacted with different people. He valued relationships. He was part of a wedding ceremony. He visited people's houses. He prayed for them. He interacted with them. He interacted with people who were in need. He had supper and meals with his friends and different people. This all implies that he was quite engaged in relationships and interested in building relationships. When I say fellowship across, we all come across different people with whom we interact. It could be a kid from a Sunday school. It could be a child from your society where you're living at. It could be a teenager. It could be somebody who has just exited your Sunday school and is part of the youth group or some other ministry. It could be some adult or an elderly person. When we connect with people, we intend to maintain harmony and peace. However, there are times when our interactions do not go the way we want. Sometimes they end up in conflicts and we end up hurting each other. As people in children's ministry, we make our best attempts to be polite, kind, and try to come to their level to communicate. Yet, there are times we find ourselves in a spot children are no longer attracted to be in our conversations. A few years back, I came across a person who was very well experienced in his children's ministry. And yet he was sharing his heart about how it has turned out to be now. He shared wonderful testimonies about children knowing the Lord. He shared wonderful testimonies about children giving their lives to God, how change came in their lives. However, now he's at a point where he feels that those same children are not in a point to interact with him. He feels he was good at his work, but now he's at a point where he feels children are avoiding him. Now he feels children are no longer interested in having conversations with him. As we sat together, as we interacted, what we realized and we reflected on his life and things that we were going around with him, we understood that there was some problem with the way he communicated. He became too straightforward with people, whether it was required. However, he felt the way he was communicating with children, the way he was communicating with youngsters was not really respectful, or sometimes the tone was not good. On many occasions, he spoke at the right time, at the right issue, yet it affected his relationship. Like I said before, the Word of God says our speech should always be gracious, seasoned with salt, so that we may know how to answer each one. Pondering on these things, we together felt that if we could use a concept like think, a tool like think, it would have made his relationships better. Well, so what is think? As I mentioned earlier, think is an acronym where T stands for truthful, H stands for helpful, I stands for I, which may cross as me, N stands for necessary, K stands for kind. Now, the thought that would come to your mind is how is this tool going to be helpful to me in my communication? Give me a moment to explain this to you. As we have fellowship people, it it could be a time of fun fellowship, humor, it could be serious conversations, it could be conversations where we are counseling people, or it could be normal conversations. But at all times, we need to think before we speak. In order to use think before we speak or make any comments, we need to be mindful of the words that we are using. We need to be mindful of our tone. We need to be asking ourselves a few questions. Now, those few questions would be like when I say truthful, we need to ask ourselves, is it truthful? Whatever am I commenting, whatever I am going to speak, is it truthful? It might be truthful, but it might hurt a person. It might affect your relationship with a person. Hence, what you need to ask is it helpful? Whatever I'm going to speak, is it going to be helpful in any way in building my relationship with my fellow brother or fellow child, or with the person with whom we are working? What we also need to consider is it my place? When I say I, we need to think, is it my place to speak about this issue? Is it my position to speak about this issue? Am I the right person to speak about it? Well, three letters we have covered, that is truthful, helpful, and inspiring. The fourth one is necessary. We need to ask ourselves, is it really necessary for me to speak about this particular thing? Is it really necessary for me to ask a question about this particular thing? Or is it really necessary for me to comment in any way if at all required? So we need to be asking these questions constantly. And the last thing that is K, kind. Is it going to be kind if I speak? Will my words be kind enough? Will my actions be kind enough? Will my body language be kind enough? Well, now we have looked at T, H, I, and K, and I'm sure you must have noted it down somewhere. So T is truthful, H is helpful, I, is it my place, N, necessary, K, kind. And you need to constantly ask yourself, is it truthful? Is it helpful? Is it my place? Is it necessary, or is it kind? Now let's have a look at an example so that you could understand this better. Now, there was a group of friends playing in the schoolyard. One of the name of the girls was Lily, and she and her friends were playing in this playground. What happened once is one of the friends named Sam, he came across to them and he kind of whispered in Lily's ears, Lily, Lily, did you hear that John got in trouble? Lily was like, why did John got in trouble? Sam's response was, because he was caught cheating in the class. Lily was a bit shocked about this whole thing, and without thinking much, without giving much thought to it, she thought, I need to go and spread this news across to my friends. Now, what happened? Lily, being a human being, she went and spoke about this thing to many of her friends. Eventually, after some time, Lily came across John. While she was speaking to John, she realized it wasn't John who was caught copying, but it was somebody else. But by this time, John kind of sensed that a rumor was being spread about him. John was really, really upset with this whole thing. However, it was too late, but the relationship between Lily and John was affected now. Relationship between Lily, her friend, and John was affected now. Why? Obviously, because they did not think much before they could speak. Now let's take a pause for a moment, step back and see how can we help Lily. Now Lily took some time to think about it. And let's assume Lily was attending this session where it says THINK and T is for truth. H is it helpful? I is it my place? N is it necessary to speak? And K is it kind? Now as Lily is pondering about these things, what she would do is Lily would ask herself, is it true? The response would be, Lily wasn't sure, so she hadn't heard John say anything about it. So she decides she would not speak about this. Second, it comes to Lily's thoughts that maybe this is a rumor and I shouldn't be spreading this rumor about John without confirming the facts. So I'd rather refrain from speaking something. So Lily decides not to speak about it. Again, Lily asks to herself, is it me? Is it I who should be speaking about it? So she thinks about it. She thinks, I would rather go and encourage rather than embarrass somebody if I speak about this. So she decides not to speak about this thing to anyone and keep things to herself till she knows what the facts are. Going forwards, Lily also considers the word N. Is it necessary? So then Lily thinks to herself and she realizes no one needs to know what has happened, especially when it wasn't confirmed. So now, when Lily has learned THIN, she is able to apply it well in her life. Then comes the word K. Is it kind? Lily thinks to herself, would it be really kind if I speak about it? And Lily realizes it would definitely hurt John's feelings and the relationship would be affected. Now that Lily has known THINK, she decides to use this tool and she decides not to speak and spread about this rumor. Well, it's been a good thing. What we realize is what Lily did is a good thing and it really helped her build relationship. Now let's consider a few other examples and try to ponder how these statements sound and what could be a better way of responding or saying these things. Let's say there is a statement that says, you always mess up things. You can never do anything right. Now think to yourself how this word sounds, how this statement sounds. To me, it sounds like a hurtful comment. Maybe I feel it is not kind, and maybe I also feel it is not very helpful. So rather, what would I choose to say now? Maybe we could say something like, I noticed you struggled with this. Would you like some help next time? Now, when you hear this statement, I noticed you struggled with this. Would you like some help next time? So it could be like, it is true that you struggled. However, I'm also adding a component of helpfulness and I'm also adding a component of kind. So to a very larger extent, I feel this won't put anyone down. It won't disrespect anyone. But at the same time, we know that we are acknowledging a person's struggle and we are willing to help this person out. So this could be something, this could be an example of what we could use in a real life. There could be another statement where we could say, did you hear that Sarah failed in her exams? Probably not. She's smart enough. Now, when we hear something like this, what comes to mind? To me, it sounds like somebody spreading rumors. To me, it sounds like very disrespectful towards somebody. And I also feel maybe it's not really necessary to speak about who failed and who is not smart enough, and it is not even kind enough. What we should rather be doing when we come across situations like this, maybe we could say, exams can be tough. Maybe we can check and encourage Sarah so that she could do better. Isn't it? I think this sounds a bit more, truthful, that exams are tough and that we are going to help Sarah and encourage her. This could be helpful as well as kind. So I believe these kind of statements could, these kinds of language, this kind of word, when we use think, it would build people up. It would not, break down a relationship, but rather help us to build our relationships. Let's look at one more example. Another example could be, let's say about some art. Your drawing looks very weird and it's not even good. How would you feel if somebody comments like this on your drawing or on your sketch? Obviously, you'll feel it's like an unnecessary criticism. For sure, it is not helpful and it is not kind in any way. How could we change the sentence? Maybe what we could say is, I see you put a lot of efforts into your drawing. Maybe adding some more colors would make it even look better. Now, what is true is that somebody is putting efforts into the work, and what is helpful is maybe adding some colors, and it could have giving some suggestions could make it look better. So these are a few examples what we could change, and slowly as we practice this we could get better into this. Let's consider one more statement. This one reads like, wow, you look really tired today. You should get some more sleep. Now, when I hear something like this, I feel there is a lot of sarcasm. I feel a person is just speaking without considering the facts. And maybe I'm not really into that kind of state, but I feel a person is just making random comments about me. Maybe a better way to say about this could be, hey, how are you feeling today? Let me know if you need a break. So what we are doing is being a bit kinder towards this person. We are trying to be helpful towards this person and not making up things on our own assumptions and taking things forward. I hope you're getting how we can apply things into our daily life conversations. Now, let's take one more example. For example, let's say, that's a dumb question. You should know this by now. I'm sure many of us must have said this to our kids when they come with a lot of inquisitiveness about very basic questions. Our youngsters, they come and approach us. Our teenagers, they come and approach us about questions from the Bible, or it could be questions from their lives, or it could be questions from their different things from the school, from the questions from their friends. And we feel their questions are dumb. However, when we make a comment like this, that's a dumb question, you should know this by now, it truly sounds disrespectful. I'm sure it sounds very unhelpful and not even kind. So what could be a better response, or what could be a better way of responding when a child or any other person is coming with a question? What we could say rather is, wow, that's a great question. Let me explain it in a way that makes it clear. How does this sound to you? To me, it sounds like it is helpful. It gives me assurance and I'm acknowledging someone, or maybe the person is acknowledging me, and it also sounds kind to me. So I believe these are few ways, that can help us to make our conversations better, which would impact our relationships, so that we could grow better into our relationships. Bible says in Proverbs 15 verses 1, a soft word turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger. All of us are here to have a speech with graciousness, with compassion, with full of love, especially when we are in positions where we are mentoring, especially when we are in positions where we are trying to build up lives, especially when we are in positions and places where God has appointed us to lead children or youngsters or into teens into different sessions that we conduct for them, or it could be one-on-one relationship. I would rather encourage you, next time when you Start interacting with youngsters or your children or anyone. Maybe make a conscious attempt to use THINK. That is truthful. Is it truthful? Is it helpful? Is it I who has to speak? Is it necessary or is it kind? And I'm sure this is going to take you a long way in building relationships. Now, everything needs practice. Once you practice it, reflect, practice, and reflect, you'll realize how you have grown in using this acronym, and it would be helpful. I hope this would be a blessing to you as you work alongside with children, youngsters, and different people, and may you continue to be a blessing to many. Thank you. God bless you.